Greetings. Tony Mobley here. Yes, we're back again with another episode of Conversation with Tony Mobley. And today, we have the one and only Benjamin Antupit for Conversations with Tony Mobley on episode 29. And come and enjoy this in-depth conversation that we're going to have with this young man. And so why are we here? We're here because life has provided me the opportunity to have real conversations with real people. First, I want to thank my guests from Wednesday night, Liberty White, Tamika Grooms, for their conversation on Wednesday with children and media and positive images. I want to thank the team behind Conversation with Tony Mobley. And so, why are we here? We're here because we want to help people with conversation. But I need your help. I want you to come to our website, conversationswithTonyMobley.com, and I want you to go there so that you can participate in this conversation. That's right. You have an opportunity to participate in this conversation. We have what we call the Mukana chat, which is a chat that will allow you to ask questions, and then those questions that you ask can be voted up and down. That's right. So come to Mukana, ask the questions, and we will all participate in this great conversation. If you like this and past conversations, we ask that you like and subscribe. Set the bell to all notifications to be reminded of all of the upcoming conversations. And so here we go. And the first question for my friend, Benjamin Antupit, is, who is Benjamin Antupit?
Well, hello, everyone. I'd like to think I'm Benjamin Antupit. And I think of myself as a maker, a first-year college student, a, dare I say, inventor sometimes, an event producer occasionally, a lighting designer, maybe one day soon, and a robotics engineer, or maybe in 4 years.
Very cool. And so our next question is, what lessons have you learned from your parents that you're using today?
Thank you. That's a really great question. My parents have been raising me for a long time on really lovely Jewish values. And I think some of these really speak to me now. The values of respect, both respecting everyone and their intentions, respecting their trust, respecting the things around me, the things available to me, and people's time. I think that really resonates with me now more than ever. The other one that I really value is the value of pure, like really working on your intentions. So for me, at least, like I really want to set my intentions to help everyone around me and be of service when I can.
Very wise parents. So what is your first year like?
So this year, in August, I started as a freshman, a first year at WPI, Worcester Polytechnic Institute in Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm in the robotics engineering undergraduate program, and it's been a change like no other in my life. It has been a very exciting transition for me, of course, going off to college. But I think for me, more than anything else, beyond living on my own or anything like that, choosing where and when to spend my time. I live so close to, I live on campus, live in the center of campus, and I have the opportunity to kind of do what I please with my time, right? I can set my own schedule and everything like that. And that's the biggest change for me by far. My first year overall has been really good. I think I've really settled in, found a wonderful few groups of friends, joined a few cool event production clubs and musical theater clubs I'm happy to talk about more later. And really just settling in. It's been wonderful.
Thank you, Benjamin, for that. So we have a question from Laura Thompson from Texas. And Laura's also our moderator tonight on the YouTube. What is the one single thing that you would say is the biggest difference between high school and college?
Oh, it's a really good question. Is to provide some context. I went to a relatively small high school. My graduating class was 91 students. And I think one of the biggest differences stems from, well, my graduating class at WPI will be something like 1,300. And the scale of the classes I'm in, I'm often, in large lecture classes with 80 people. And I'm also in some small classes with 12 people. And I think that variety is a very big change for me. I think in terms of class, at least in terms of academics, I used to be in classrooms of less than 20, and that was really special. It's really wonderful. Everyone knew each other's names. We all, got to know each other, and you were expected to raise your hand and answer questions. Well, it's not the same thing in a large lecture hall all the time. Now, granted, there are great, wonderful discussion classes and lots of opportunities in labs to really get hands-on experience like high school. But the experience of being in a large group of learners is very different for me. Besides academics, for sure, living on campus changes everything. Being able to hang out with friends and live close by is really lovely. Being able to roll out of bed and walk 150 feet to my first class, I don't think anything really beats that. It's pretty different.
Very cool. And so we have another question from Mr. Roscoe Jones of Berea, California. What's the best class you've had so far, and why is it so?
That's a really great question, Roscoe. I think some of the biggest changes, for me at least, in terms of where I had some really excellent classes in high school, and I kind of think of it this way as some of my favorite classes in high school were I really loved the instructor or the subject matter, things like that. And same thing in college. For me, during the first term, during the first quarter, I had a computer science class, accelerated introduction to computer science. And this was a class, there's kind of two sections. There was one for folks who wanted to learn computer science, one who wanted the accelerated version. And being in the accelerated version was really exciting for me. Being in a room full of learners who really just wanted to were all really passionate about computer science. That was really exciting. And the way that the instructor taught the class, it was more of a discussion, even though it was 80 people. He'd get up there every day, or 4 days a week, I should say, and tell us that we had a quiz today. And every single start of class, we had a quiz. It was very exciting. And it was served as a little bit of an attendance marker, which probably isn't a bad thing, but it really helped us solidify our knowledge. I think for me, at least, I couldn't opt out of homework. I had to do my homework if I wanted to pass the quiz every day. And that was a good reminder, I think. But it also made sure we really understood the content, because he'd go over things again. If people didn't do so well, he'd reteach a concept. And at the same time, we'd be moving forward at a steady pace, really learning all sorts of algorithms and exciting content. On top of that, we also had a lab component where we, were partnered up with partners not of our choosing, just, people in the class. And we would be working on a new project every week related to the concepts in class. And the professor would come around during lab time, check on each group, see how they're doing. And that personal touch really made it for me. And also, I'm excited about computer science. This class certainly helps me develop that more.
Wow. That, as you were speaking, what I kept thinking, all of these different tools for engagement. Wow, wonderful.
Absolutely.
So we have another question from Jeff Wingren and Overland Park. Zoom Test Kitchen Maestro. Benjamin, where have you been? How have you been? And it's great to see you.
Hey, Jeff. Hey. Hi, everyone in the Zoom Test Kitchen. Good to see you, too. Things have been going really well. As I've said, it's been an exciting start to college. I feel like the Zoom Test Kitchen was such a great place for me to, get going, learning more about how to share what I know. And it was so much fun. Anyway, I think I've moved on. Moved in a different direction at this point. But it's great to see you.
Thank you, Jeff, for that question. Okay, so how did you get started in your video production work, i.e. school productions?
Sure. I think I'll take that as two, because I think I kind of got started in my video production work a little bit separately as my school productions. I got started my school productions way back in 6th grade when I joined the scenic crew for the musical. And we were doing Lion King at the time, and I was just getting to know middle school. It was a very exciting transition, not quite like this one, but brand new classmates, brand new school. It was an exciting time. But starting on Build Crew, as it was called, spelled with CRU with a little umlaut, so it had a little smiley face, just to appeal to the middle schoolers. And it was so much fun. I got to know all sorts of things about wood construction, set construction, and I did that all through middle school. And that really developed into my interest in lighting design and sound design. And that was really exciting. My interest in video production actually kind of came out of that. As we entered COVID, of course, I think many people took up an interest in video production as we spent a lot more time producing a lot of video of ourselves, I guess. And that, at least I felt that for me. But I really started developing this at school when we worked on the musical Chicago. And we got some more professional cameras. We got an ATEM, and I used a lot of great office hours resources and tapped on a lot of your skills, and I really appreciate that for sure. Anyway, this is a great picture of our color correction testing. But the thing I really learned from all that was that I really enjoyed doing video production, trying to dip my toes in the water, being a little bit of a DP for the filming of the Chicago the Musical on our stage for live streaming later. And then later that spring, we did Evening of Dance, also all pre-recorded. And I worked really hard with some of my friends creating the lighting for that. And it's a totally different experience, right? Lighting for film and lighting for video production. So I think creating the COVID necessities of creating art productions for film really helped me develop my video production experience.
Very cool. Very cool. Jeff is back with another question. He says, is college everything that you imagined and more?
Ooh, great question. I think it's a lot of what I imagined. Sure, I feel like I had some good expectations going in. I expected that I'd be able to find classes that I was really excited about, that friends that were eager to share my interests. There's definitely some more, though. There's a club I joined not too long ago called Lens and Lights, and that's definitely the more for sure. We produce live events all over campus. We set up the speakers and the lights and occasionally projection, even old 35 millimeter and 70 millimeter projection, for whatever events are happening around campus. So that's been really exciting for me.
Very cool. And so we have Roscoe Jones is back again, and he says, if you were to go viral on the internet, what would it be for?
Ooh, great question. Oh, this is a tough one. I think I'll give you two answers. What I'd really hope it'd be for and what I think it might really be for. So I'd really hope it's for some really cool robotics project. At WPI, I'm a robotics engineering student. That's my academic interest, if you will, aside from theater and video production. And I really hope I'm going to create some very cool robotic contraption, either through research or just through my classes. And I've seen some really great videos out there from WPI students of just really neat and innovative robotics concepts. I really hope I can maybe not top that. That's a tall order, but at least find something really interesting and make something cool out of it. The other bit I have there is I think I might actually go viral for something I say, I don't know, on a live interview or I don't know, something silly out there. You never know.
Okay. What would you encourage other young people to think about if they have similar interests to yours?
I get this question fairly frequently, so I'll try to break it down by age bracket. For folks going in with little kiddos going into maybe 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, there are lots of really exciting introduction to coding ideas. And I think that's a great way to get people excited about robotics. One of my favorites is Scratch by MIT, and they create a great block-based coding platform. And that's how I got my start. Back in 3rd grade, I started making little Scratch games, and then by 5th grade, I was teaching a little class for some 3rd graders on how to make Scratch games, and that was at least what I really enjoyed. The the other thing for robotics, right? There's the computer science element, then there's the electrical element. So I also got into small Arduino projects, microcontroller projects. If you have smaller ones, the snap circuits, that was so much fun. Those are the best to get a good feeling of how electricity works and how it all interacts with the world. And then a little later, right, Arduino projects and things like that, Raspberry Pis, creating your own little things like that. That's so much fun. I created a little sunset time-lapse capturer. And that might not sound like a robot, but it's almost all the elements, right? It might not have the mechanical element, but it's got the electronics, it's got the camera, it's got all the code to upload to Twitter, that kind of thing. And anyway, that's the kind of fun stuff, you know? Find something interesting and go with it. The last bit would be the mechanical thing. And I think, for me at least, that was through First Lego League, FLL as it's commonly called. And students going into, I believe it's 5th through 8th grade can create Lego robots that compete in an annual competition to complete challenges on a field. So that was a lot of fun for sure. And if you get a little too old for Legos, I don't think you can ever get too old for Lego, but if you feel like you need to move, you feel like you're ready to take the next step, there's First Tech Challenge and then First Robotics Competition, which offer increasing levels of mechanical components and increasing size, all the way up to First Robotics Competition, where you're making giant metal robots playing a 20-foot by 40-foot field, colliding at full speed, if you will. And that's lots of fun. There's another route that I'm hearing a lot of folks are enjoying these days called VEX Robotics Competition, with a little bit smaller robots, and they get more kit components, and you can create all sorts of really exciting mechanical structures. Anyway, that's all to say, pique kids' interest. If you really love robots out there, just keep finding more ways to build more robots. That's how I got better at robots, at least.
You are an exceptional young man. And I can hear your enthusiasm for robotics coming through. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Sure.
RJ Rod, you kind of answered this question already, but I'm going to read it again. So are you drawn more to mechanical, electronic, or software aspects of robotics?
It's a really great question. Those three for sure. Those mechanical engineering, if you will, electrical engineering, and software development, computer science. Those three tenets are kind of like the core of robotics. And I feel like at this point, I'm very drawn towards the electrical and software aspects. That's kind of where my skill set lies right now. I'm eager to get more into the mechanical development for sure. But right now, at least, the software and the electronics, and where those two come together, the fusion of sensing systems and software that controls them, that's really exciting.
Very cool. Roscoe Jones is back, and his question is, who is your role model in life?
Ooh, that's a very hard one for me. I feel like there are so many great role models in my life. Of course, I feel like I have to say my parents. They're definitely some of my biggest role models. They're both teachers. They have been teaching and working in schools for a very long time, and I really admire their dedication and their hard work. And I don't know, I just love them so much. In terms of arts, I really appreciate the art and the work of Lin-Manuel Miranda. I look up to his creativity and his spirit and his excitement to try something new, no matter the cost.
And tell us a little bit more about who that is.
Lin-Manuel Miranda is the original writer of Hamilton, the Broadway musical. He's also been branching out into filmography recently. He's been directing some animated and live action movies as well. But he's most well known for his musical Hamilton and for the other musical In the Heights, both on Broadway, released on Broadway.
Very cool. Thank you for that, Benjamin.
Sure.
What have your parents have to say about all of this stuff that you are doing?
That is a great question. They're in their other room right now. I'm tempted to go ask them, but I think on the whole, they're really excited. I think they're very happy to hear that I'm loving WPI, and I think they're really proud to see that I'm, delving into event production and trying all these fun things out for the first time and trying things I love. So I think they're really excited to hear all that. I mean, I think they're also pretty happy with, I'm trying my best in school, and I think that brings them some joy as well. But I think they're glad to hear that I'm spending time doing the things I love.
And I would say, as a parent, I can tell that you are happy in what you're doing. And I know that makes them happy. Dr. Chris Clark, gifted students like you, Benjamin, sometimes find that the higher in education you go, the more students like yourself discover the connect within. Have you observed a similar trend among your peers?
That's a great question. I don't know if I consider myself gifted. That feels like a tall order. But I have seen definitely with some of my peers for sure, finding more folks with similar interests and finding more people to connect with in college for sure. At my high school, there were a limited number of people who were really excited about robotics. Granted, I think I went to an incredible high school in Silicon Valley where there's a great robotics program and there's lots of people getting excited about it. But at my college, right, there are hundreds of people studying robotics, and that's really exciting. The other thing for me was in technical theater and in media production and event production, there were just a handful of students per grade who were really interested in event production and lighting and sound and that sort of thing. And now in college, I'm part of Lens and Lights, this live event production club where we have 35 active members who are really excited to go out there, help crew events, be the lead crew chief, and really get excited about it. And I think that's definitely something I wouldn't be able to find in high school. So it's really exciting to be able to be in a place where there are so many people who are so excited about what I love doing.
Well, I'm going to say that you are gifted. I think that you're very gifted, Benjamin. And I also want to say to any of the parents who might be listening, Benjamin is gifted, but also just from where I sit, it seems as if his parents made a sacrifice to make sure that he was prepared for any tool, with any tools he needed to be prepared to go into any situation that he went into. And so thank you, Benjamin's parents.
That's very kind of you.
Laura Thompson from Texas again says, what advice would you give to high school students about their first year of college?
That's a great question. The thing that I've been keeping in mind this first semester, and that I think has really helped me the most, is that I've been prioritizing branching out more than I have my academics. I spent my whole high school career prioritizing my academics over most other things and spending a little bit more energy trying to find friends, find clubs, find activities that I enjoy has been really important to me this first semester. And I think it's really worked really well. I've found some great friends and I've found some great clubs that I really love spending time in. And, it's hard for me to remember that it's okay for my academics to take a little break if I'm really excited to, get to know these new people. And I think above all, that's the most important thing I've found. I have some friends who were stuck in their books and very excited to study. And it's so much more fun to spend time branching out, I think. And it really helps me get to know the school I'm at. And I think that's got to be some of the most important things. Is I have some friends too who found out right around this time that they really want to transfer. And I think they only really discovered that because they tried to branch out and they realized the opportunities that they're looking for aren't present. So both by branching out, you can really find your home, right? Find your place. If you're really excited to be where you are, you're going to know it because you found all these exciting opportunities. And simultaneously, if you know that if you spend time branching out, you might know that might not be the right place for you. And it's perfectly fine to transfer. That's really normal.
And it's okay to be holistic and well-rounded. Thank you for sharing that, Benjamin.
Absolutely.
Mr. Todd Reynolds from North Adams, Massachusetts says, what is the first big thing you built that sent you over the moon with excitement?
Oh, this is a great question. So old family pictures will tell me that I connected some collapsible tubes to a vacuum cleaner around age 4 or 5, I think. And apparently that was the most exciting thing. I don't have many memories of this time, but apparently those tubes and that vacuum cleaner, oh man, the combination, endless excitement. Maybe we'll go for something I can remember at least. The earliest one I can think of is, I guess I'll give you two. At the beginning of high school, we built some very exciting robotics projects, some robots for first robotics competition. And one of the first that I really had a big hand in had this huge lift mechanism and these funky squishy wheels that would pick up milk crates. They would spin really fast and they would squish to pick up the milk crate. And that was one of the most exciting ones, mostly because of the feeling of accomplishment. More than anything else. I think knowing that I played a part in that and that as a team we came together to build this thing. Not one person couldn't have built this alone. It needed the team. And that really had a lot of power for me. And I think that feeling that, we created something new, right? This thing had never existed before. We combined these parts from all over. We put a lot of effort into it and we really tried. That's what made it for me. Another similar experience I've had over the summers, I've been a volunteer and a staff member at a camp called Project Ember, where we create giant wood-based projects, wood art and engineering projects with power tools and the assistance or the designs of kids going into 2nd through 8th grade at the day camp. I've been working there for about, this was my 5th summer, this past summer. And we really, that's the whole goal, right? The whole goal is that the kids leave feeling that immense feeling of accomplishment, that they know that they played a key role in the creation we ended up with at the end of the day. And so I think that's like the second thing, right? Like the first thing I was really excited about was my own creation, right? My own team creation. I can't really say the team creation. But definitely the next best was the thing that I didn't build, right? That I mentored and I guided students to create on their own, of their own design. And that was some of the most exciting things I've ever had the pleasure of participating in, and the honor of participating in.
Very cool. Mr. Roscoe Jones is back again, and he says, what do you most miss from the COVID days you spent on office hours?
Well, great question. I got to be honest, I don't miss a ton. I mean, there are great things. Office hours was wonderful. I really enjoyed spending time with you all. But being in person is pretty cool too. The things I do miss for sure are rolling out of bed and hopping on my laptop and seeing all these smiling faces every morning. That was super fun. I really enjoyed that. The connection that we had in this through our screens was something really unparalleled. And I could feel that, many miles away from you all. Even when in Zoom school, I felt like office hours had this unique kind of connection that school couldn't provide over Zoom. A group of people so dedicated and excited to be connected had a force of will and a power behind it that was really exciting to be a part of more than anything else.
So the school Zooms weren't that good, huh?
Oh, they passed the time pretty well. And honestly, my school Zooms were I think, from what I understand, were some of the better ones. I think I heard some stories, but I won't elaborate. The school Zooms I had, I think some of the most successful ones for sure involved breaking us down to smaller groups. Those ones were really excellent, where got to have some breakout rooms with partners. Those were really good. I ended up producing some assemblies for the group. That was exciting for me. Not sure how it was for the audience, but I think they enjoyed it on the whole. And then there are some classes where we got lectured to more. I thought, they serve a purpose. They're useful. I, learned some good things from those classes. And, out of that English class where we had tons and tons of discussion, man, I could write a really great essay at the end because I, really synthesized my thinking. So I think I'm glad Zoom classes are, at least for me, a little bit more behind me than in front of me. But I think during that time, I'm really impressed that we could get so much done. We could learn so much.
Absolutely.
At the same time, the kind of connection and stuff that office hours brought, unparalleled.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Todd Reynolds asks, can you remember the first time you realized coding would be one of your primary languages? How did it all start for you?
Well, that's a great question. I kind of gave a little bit of this with my Scratch discussion briefly. But just once more, Scratch by MIT was the first coding language I learned around third grade. And I spent tons and tons of time with it. It was so much fun. It felt like a game to me at the time, which might be a good hint for other folks trying to build languages for people learning. That gamification element, whether it's just the bright colors or the feeling of satisfaction when it finally worked, it felt really exciting. I think it was a little bit later that I really felt like I could use coding as one of my languages, when I could translate an idea just into code. And I think that was almost maybe my senior year of high school. I took this really wonderful Python programming class with a truly wonderful teacher who I dearly miss it in high school. She did an incredible job of not just teaching us Python or the essence of the language, but teaching us computer science concepts along the way and giving us lots of opportunities to work with partners on projects, on labs. We would learn a few new things, and then we'd spend a week or two building a brand new project or game or exciting new invention using those concepts. And that was really exciting for me. And I felt like there was a time, maybe in the middle of senior year of high school in 12th grade, where I felt like, I finally get it. It all makes sense. And I can, if I think of an idea, I can just write it down. And it was a very exciting experience for me. At that point, I started some more personal projects because it just was so exciting. That was when I made my sunset time-lapse capturer and little hacky utilities for Zoom, that kind of thing. That was great. I think also when I spent more time learning multiple languages, that's when I really felt the use of coding as a language, as a universal language, right? That transcended Python or Java or JavaScript or HTML, right? They're all kind of different dialects, if you will. And that was a really great experience for me. I think that even continues into this first term during my computer science class, where we learned a brand new language. That was the class I mentioned earlier, one of my favorites. We learned Racket, a language that is designed to teach coding. It's a text-based language that feels a lot like Scheme for those of you who programmed maybe a little while ago. It's something I've never seen before, but I felt like I could pick it up because I had done a whole bunch of, I've learned all these languages before, just like a new dialect, right? It was just another flavor of the same kind of thing I had already learned. And that maybe would be one of the times I really felt like I had a depth of knowledge. I could really speak coding, not just one language in code.
Very cool. And Todd Reynolds is back again. He says, have you encountered any musical robots which compel you, or are making any, or are you making any? This is from a musician.
Todd, that is such a wonderful question. I personally have encountered a few. I'm not currently making any, although I really hope to in the future. I've heard some great stories. There is a class specifically at WPI around making musical robots. And honestly, I really hope I have a chance to take that class. That sounds so cool. There are a few other kinds of robots I've seen around that are kind of similar. There's one at an installation near my house that is this kind of keyboard-like machine that plays the chimes on a tower. That's very cool. And there's also another one not too far away that I think I remember hearing about somebody making one like this not too far away. It played water droplets. They were regulating the size of the droplet and the timing to create certain notes. And to do that, they were asking for advice from the robotics engineering group about what sort of sensors and actuators would be right. And that was super cool for sure. I really hope I'll have a chance to work on more musical robots soon. Yeah, for sure. The other one, I honestly have to say, one of my favorites by far. I don't know if for those of you who follow Winter Garden on YouTube, that was one of my favorites too. They continually create this very cool wooden marble machine that continues to evolve every time I see it. It's a very cool musical robot. Great question. I think, it's a good one. I've read a few plays recently, more than I have in the past. One that I might change. Anyway, one that I might change would be, I read The Flick recently. The Flick is a set in 2012 about a old movie theater in Worcester County, and they are recently converting from old 35 and 70 millimeter film over to digital, right? The change of an era, something we're experiencing right now with our 35 and 70 millimeter projectors and our digital projectors side by side. We try to run all of them, but in the end, you have to pick one. Anyway, at least we're keeping them running for now, and I'm quite proud of the students who are doing that. That's very, very cool. Anyway, that play ends with the characters kind of walking off. There are two main characters who were really excited about the film present at that theater. That's why they were working there. They were really excited about the old analog, keeping the physical film alive, right? Those old projectors. And the theater owner decides that it's a bygone era. They're going to convert to digital. And the characters who were really excited about that kind of walk away, and it was a real bummer. I was really hoping you'd see more development there. And it sounds like they saved some parts at the very end of the play, and they could reassemble the projector. They could save some film. They could create their own little underground cinema. And I'd really love to see a different ending to that show where they all work together to create that space that they were really hoping for, so they could continue showing the analog film that they all really enjoy. Great question, Bill. Happy to see you. I think one of the big things for me, at least, is that starting my education in the pandemic has been strange. At WPI, I'm really happy that they're managing the pandemic very well. I feel very strongly about this one. They're giving undergraduates a requirement. We have to COVID test twice a week. They're available on campus. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes to walk through and get your nose swabbed. Not too bad at all. So I feel like, at least where I am at WPI in Worcester, I feel really fortunate that the pandemic means, at least in this stage of the pandemic, we can kind of exist in person. We can exist in classrooms. We can exist in lecture halls. And recently, we can be in our residence halls without masks on. And I feel like that really makes it feel like almost a post-COVID era in our residence hall and on campus. Now, granted, got to acknowledge COVID's not over, right? We just as much as we have these testing requirements, we also have vaccine requirements. But I feel really fortunate that, at least right now, we've had all of our instruction in person. And I think that's been a welcome change from high school. Don't get me wrong, the remote and the hybrid education was a key part of weathering the pandemic. And I'm just glad we can move forward a little bit more in person. We've had some pandemic related things, though. It's been challenging, right? We've had some meetings and things move online. We've had some I think I've heard some meetings move online, right? Some classes have been struggling a little bit, but it's going okay. More than anything else, I think people are just so happy to be in person, to be together, to be in any sort of club situation or any sort of lecture hall, to just be in the same space learning. And I think the power of having a professor there with you, not over Zoom, is transformational, really. I think it really matters more than anything else. There's great Zoom school out there, right? I think I can really credit my high school to that one. I think they really figured out a good solution, a really good way to make hybrid work and all of that sort of thing. But I think being in person has been a really great way to start the year. I can't really imagine trying to make friends at a new school without being in person like we were. Oh, good question. I feel like I first have to say I am so happy for the Liminal team, or the new Zoom team, I should say, with the IP acquisition and the movement of Andy and Jonathan to Zoom. I think they've been working so hard over the past year, and I am so happy to see them moving forward with Zoom. My time at Liminal was great. I really enjoyed it there, and I think I could tell that while I was there was an urge. There was always something. There was like something that they really wanted to be doing. And I figured it out when they made that announcement. That was the thing they were working towards, and I'm so happy to see that they've achieved it. I think Liminal and their product offerings will only get stronger now that some of their folks are at Zoom, and I think the kinds of solutions that they can bring to Zoom's workflows for event production and that they can bring to the general public just as part of Zoom, I think will be really wonderful for this community and for Zoom as a whole and the Zoom community as a whole. I'm really happy to see that their efforts are kind of being rewarded at this point. It's been a long time in coming. Great question. I think I have a cousin who is really struggling with this right now. He's at the end of his high school career. He's trying to figure out what comes next for him. And I think, honestly, it's a really hard thing right now. I think there aren't many great options. There just are not many great options for students who don't quite know by the end of their, by the middle of their senior year, by the time college applications come around, what kind of options there are. I think, for me at least, what helped me find something I'm really interested in was joining clubs, was trying to figure out what kind of fun things there are out there. They're extracurricular. Many of my friends have found their interests through, right, like I did, through robotics teams, through Backstage Crew, whether it's out on a sports field or in a lab, right, just delving deep into something that's exciting. And I think finding something besides school that is really something that matters to you can be more impactful than anything else. Well, I have friends out there too, right, who like really enjoy writing that English paper, and now they're an English major. I'm so happy for them that they found something that's exciting. I think the biggest one for me was finding some sort of group activity outside of school that really means something to you, whether you just like the people there or you really enjoy, I don't know, improv. That could be your thing. So that's my suggestion. That's my advice. Try to find something that just feels exciting besides classes. It's a great question, Maya. I think one of the challenges for me is to take a step back in college and realize that I'm here to learn more than I am to mentor. I have skills to bring, I have knowledge to share, but one of the challenges I've been facing is I feel like I have to take a step back. I have to close my mouth for a moment, realize that there are so many people here with the knowledge that I have, and that there's just a few who can really teach me something really exciting. And I've been trying my very hardest to seek out folks who have something that they're excited to share with me. And that's been really exciting. I found that through Lens and Lights, the event production group. I found that in the robotics engineering labs. And I think that was something, it's kind of a pivot for me from high school for sure, where I was, towards the end of high school, really focused on mentoring younger students and learning what I could from office hours or from outside sources or from my teachers, right? But I feel like my peers were eager to learn, at least for lighting design or from robotics related things. Like I was kind of a resource there. And I think it's been a big flip for me to change to being a learner mostly instead of a mentor. But it's really exciting. I really enjoy this kind of paradigm. And it's also really exciting to be able to mentor some younger students or some folks who don't know a lot about event production or lighting design or that sort of thing. I think kind of it's a hard balance to strike between being a mentor and a learner, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I think it's a good challenge. Sure thing. I'm just hearing that Tony's video and his connection is having a few issues, so I think we're going to wrap it up here for today. I think Tony will be back next week, and we'll be back with another conversation with Tony Mobley soon. Hope to see you all soon, maybe in after hours.